And so Greg Scarpa and there's a few other guys reported directly to Scappy for a long time. Then years later, they made Greg Scarpa a boss. But Greg Scarpa was an interesting one because he had balls of steel, and he would kill you at the drop of a hat, no problem. He would kill you, beat you, kill you, not a problem. He didn't have a heart. If you owed him money, you better pay up. He had no blood in his veins, okay? But he was a gangster's gangster because he was having an affair with a girl that worked for the FBI, and she would give him information on other crews and other neighborhoods that's going on that are pitting against him, or people that they could put the feds on, lean on them instead of his crew.
Greetings and welcome back. It's your host, Gabe Morales. In my interview with John Livia, he talked quite a bit about the ruthless Greg Scarpa, called the Grim Reaper, as well as an individual that Carmine Persico put in power that I talked about in the last episode, Little Vic Orena, who by the early 1990s had come to believe that Persico did not deserve to be running the family and was out of touch with reality and causing the family to miss out on very lucrative opportunities. He was also very alarmed at Persico's plan for a made-for-TV biography, fearing that prosecutors could use it as evidence in the same way they used Joe Bonanno's tell-all book as evidence in the commission trial. He therefore decided to take over the family for himself. Using his strong ties to Gambino crime family boss John Gotti, Orena petitioned the Mafia's commission to recognize him as boss. Unwilling to cause more conflict, the commission refused. Orena then instructed consigliere Carmine Cosa to pull all the capos in the family to decide whether Orena should replace Persico. But instead, Cesar alerted Persico that Orena was staging a coup. An enraged Persico then ordered a hit on Little Vic Orena, and on June 21st, 1991, when Orena arrived at his home on Long Island, he found gunmen under Cesar's leadership waiting for him. However, Orena managed to escape before the gunmen could strike. The Third Colombo War had begun, and open warfare broke out between rival factions. Orena sent his little brother, Michael, aka Mickey Brown Orena's two sons, Michael and a younger son, William, aka Willie Boy Orena, into Brooklyn on a murder mission. These two individuals were very dangerous, and FBI agents were certain that they were responsible for the disappearances of at least 15 associates and business partners of the Orena clan. During the Third War, 12 people, including 3 innocent bystanders, died, and 18 associates were never seen again. Before it was all over, more than 80 made members and associates from both sides of the Colombo family were convicted, jailed, or indicted. Those included Persico's brother, Theodore Teddy Persico, his son, Alphonse, aka Little Alley Boy, Little Vic, Orena's nephews, William Orena, his older brother, Michael, and Orena's 2 sons, Victor Jr. Orena and John Orena, all were caught up in this case. While the war was going on, both sides appealed to the commission for help. Rick Scarpa, who was part of the Persico faction, was a very stylish dresser who routinely carried $5,000 in pocket money for miscellaneous purchases and for bribes. And as John Livia stated, he was a stone cold killer who would take you out at the drop of a hat. He enjoyed killing and indeed would often play with the minds of his victims before he smoked them, allegedly leaving such things as 666 on their pager. Greg Scarpa Sr. knew all the major underworld figures in New York City as well as the FBI agents, and he knew how to play the game. And it is stated that very early in the 1960s, he became an informant for the FBI and literally was able to get away with murder over a period of almost 30 years. Late 1991, supporters of Colombo acting boss Little Vic Orena attempted to kill Scarpa while he was driving his car in Brooklyn, followed behind by his 22-year-old daughter, Linda, and his 8-month-old grandson, when he was suddenly stopped by 2 cars. Hitmen ran from both vehicles with guns drawn and converged on Scarpa's car. But the Grim Reaper managed to escape and drive away, crashing into anything that got in his way, and several bystanders were injured. Scarpa, his daughter, and grandson escaped unharmed. As cited in the interview with John Livia, Scarpa ended up contracting AIDS. And even while he was in ill health, on December 29, 1992, while under house arrest, he lost an eye in a shootout with other mobsters. 2 Lucchese family mobsters, Michael DeRosa and Ronald Moran, threatened Joey Scarpa, Gregory Sr.'s son, over a drug deal. Scarpa jumped into his vehicle and drove with his son Joey to DeRosa's house and shot DeRosa. Moran fired back and hit Scarpa in the eye. Scarpa refused to go to the hospital, but after prodding by his wife, finally went, and authorities arrested him after they revoked his house arrest and sent him back to jail. By 1993, blind in one eye, he pled guilty to 3 murders and conspiracy to murder several others. In all, his stated he was good for at least 21 murders. But in June of 1994, he died in federal custody from medical complications related to AIDS. Being involved in mob business was often family business, literally. Many of them were related. Scarpa's other son, Greg Scarpa Jr., was sentenced to 40 years in prison for racketeering, conspiracy to commit murder, and other charges. As I stated earlier, John Sonny Francese Sr. worked for the mob for over 8 decades. He had 2 sons. John Francese Jr. now living as Matt Pazzarelli after he went into the witness protection program and testified against his father, as well as another son named Michael Francese, who was made in 1975 and became a capo in the family before he dropped out. By the age of 35, in 1986, Fortune magazine listed Francese as number 18 on its list of 50 most wealthy and powerful mafia bosses. Michael Francese claims that at the height of his career, he generated up to $8 million a week. But in 1986, he was sentenced to 10 years in prison on conspiracy charges, was released in 1989 and rearrested in 1991 for a parole violation, and ultimately released in 1994. During his time in prison, Michael Francese states he became a born-again Christian and walked away from the mob. But like I said, does discuss some of the past players in La Cosa Nostra via his own podcast. As I stated in the beginning, I don't consider myself to be a Cosa Nostra expert. I won't pretend to know a tenth of what he knows. He lived that life. I've just tried to document what little I know about the mob, which is made up of dozens of families in the U.S., and the Cosa Nostra is just one of 100 major crime groups that I track. I do appreciate all you mafia experts who give me positive feedback on this series. Already there appears to be a couple of old mob pictures I misidentified in the intro. So thanks for your respectful clarifications, as it helps me improve this channel and keep my content accurate. The family later came under the influence of Tommy Shots Gioele, who took over as street boss. In 2008, Gioele underboss John Sonny Francese, former consigliere Joel Cacassi, Captain Dino Calabro, and Soldier Dino Saracino, as well as several other members and associates, including Orlando Spado, were indicted on multiple racketeering charges, dating way back to the Colombo Wars. Alfonso Persico was sentenced to life imprisonment in 2009 for the Cutolo murder. After Gioele was in prison, Ralph DeLeo, who operated from Boston, Massachusetts, became the family street boss. But in 2009, the FBI charged DeLeo and Colombo family members with drug trafficking, extortion, and loan sharking. With DeLeo in prison, Andy Mush Russo once again took control of the family. On January 20th, 2011, Andrew Russo, acting underboss Benjamin Castellazzo, consigliere Richard Fusco, and others were charged with murder, narcotics trafficking, and labor racketeering. Castellazzo and Fusco pled guilty to reduced charges. 2018, more members and associates of the Colombo family were indicted on RICO charges. And on March 7, 2019, Colombo family boss Carmine Persico died in prison. With his death, his son, Alfonso, little alley boy, who'd been serving as acting boss for his father, was demoted, and the members of the Colombo family voted for Andrew Mush Russo to be the new boss. Russo was Carmine Persico's cousin, and his inner circle included underboss Benji Castellazzo, consigliere Ralph Di Matteo, Capo Vincent Vinny Unions Ricardo, Capo Richard Vera, and Capo Theodore Teddy, a.k.a. Teddy Persico Jr. On September 14, 2021, an indictment was served that took down the Colombo family's upper echelon.
And now to a big mafia takedown today. The FBI, NYPD, and other agencies zeroed in on reputed members and associates of the Colombo crime family. More than a dozen arrests made here, including the man prosecutors say is the Colombo crime boss. Chief investigative reporter Jonathan Dienst is here with more. John?
Adam, the feds say they moved in today because the Colombos kept trying to move in and rip off a construction union's benefit funds, allegedly threatening violence to steal that money. U.S. Marshals drove a dozen or so suspected mobsters out of FBI offices to federal court on the racketeering charges. Behind the tinted windows, several top reputed leaders of the Colombo crime family, including its reputed boss, Anthony Russo, also known as Mush. Prosecutors charged the crime family with ripping off a construction union and threatening violence if they were not paid, in part by ripping off that union's health fund. Suspect Vinny Unions Ricciardo allegedly threatened to kill. I'll put him in the ground right in front of his wife and kids, right in front of his house. 14 charged in all, many appearing in federal court in Brooklyn this afternoon. Among them, reputed Colombo underboss Benjamin Castellazzo, a.k.a. Benji, and others like John Regano, who the feds say has nicknames like Bazoo and Maniac. Today's arrests come after repeated past cases against suspected Colombo members. These soldiers, consiglieres, underbosses, and bosses obviously are not students of history and don't seem to comprehend that we're going to catch them, said New York FBI Director Mike Driscoll. The NYPD, Nassau County Police, and Department of Labor investigators helped build the case, which includes charges of extortion, money laundering, loan sharking, fraud, and drug trafficking, all to allegedly benefit the Colombo crime family. Castellazzo's lawyer tells us he's innocent of the charges and will be pleading not guilty. A lawyer for defendant Richard Ferrara said, "I'm confident my client will be vindicated." Investigators say some of those arrested today have been involved in numerous union-related rip-offs for more than 20 years. The FBI today said today's case shows the underbelly of the mafia is alive and well, but the arrests will keep coming. Today's suspects pleading not guilty during virtual court appearances, which are ongoing at this hour. Jonathan Dienst, News 4.
April 20th, 2022, Andrew Russo's lawyer announced that Russo had died at the age of 87 a couple of days earlier. Little Rob D'Onofrio, a longtime soldier who initially sided with the Orena faction during the Third War, but switched sides to the Persico faction, then ascended as the family's acting boss. February 5th, 2025, Joseph Arapalo, the son of Frank, who were related to former Colombo capo Joseph Tomasello, were arrested on major gun charges. So, as you see, the Colombo family has been greatly weakened by wars and takedowns by law enforcement. Their convictions were often aided by numerous family members who became government witnesses. And many law enforcement agencies today believe that the Colombo family may be the weakest out of all the 5 families in New York City. Next episode, I'll cover the Banana crime family, which is another major group of the 5 families of New York City. I hope you enjoyed this episode and continue watching and continue to stay blessed. For now, this is Gabe Morales signing off for Gangsters, Cops, and Politicians.